Yeah, and take one. All right.
Okay, you ready?
Deer and deer hunting, it's my life. God sent me here to manage critters, and I'm doing a great job, and he thanks me every day. You're welcome.
What is your definition of conservation?
Same as Webster's. Conservation is the wise use, the responsible use, and in our hunting lifestyle, the reverential use in the asset column of assets, of wildlife resources, human resources. You can conserve horsepower, you can conserve deer, you can conserve family values. It's about identifying the resources you have the responsibility to intelligently and responsibly manage, and then implementing that intelligent responsibility. Deer, turkey, elk, rabbits, wild ground, producing quality air, soil, and water from the wildlife habitat that hunting, fishing, and trapping has paid for and safeguarded all these years. Definitive conservation.
In today's age, what do you see that's being portrayed as conservation that is not conservation?
You know, there was a time where stoners, hippies, and scammers created the ultimate ripoff called animal rights. And they played on not just emotions, but disconnected from reality emotions. In other words, people who were living in the city didn't realize that their veal was living and breathing recently. So within the realm of such abject ignorance, people pulled off the carpetbagger scam that if you donate to us, we'll save some puppies. And they've never saved any puppies. And they called that fell under the scam umbrella as conservation. And I guess the best way to depict the reality that I live, there was this gal named Butterfly, a hippie gal, you know, stoner, comfortably numb, which is actually uncomfortably dumb. And we were on Bill Maher's Politically Incorrect show together. And because God really, really loves me, he aligns planets for me often. And so I'm on Bill Maher's Politically Incorrect show, which is enemy territory, which is my preferred party zone. I don't want to just hang out with attaboys and agreeing and yes people. I want to go into zones where people are in denial, comfortably numb, stupid, ignorant, and try to implement policy based on that ignorance. So I welcomed the invitation to go on Bill Maher's show 16 times. So Butterfly was his featured guest because Butterfly had spent 1 year in a redwood tree in California protesting lumber, I guess. Which I find fascinating, if not downright stupefying. So she lived in a tree and they literally, you know, roped up food and soap, I guess. Of course, maybe not the soap, but some food and water. So Bill's trying to find value to her sacrifice of living in a redwood tree for a year to protest lumber. I'm guessing. Well, wasn't it fascinating that God reached down that year and aligned the Nugent family with the Arbor Day Foundation, where we were part of a movement that planted 10 million trees. And so after Butterfly, you know, gushed forth her fantasy that living in a redwood might reduce lumber usage, I mean, how much LSD do you have to shovel into your mouth to think these absurd thoughts? But she made her point, or a point, and then it was my turn. I said, well, Butterfly, God bless you, but while you were in the tree for a year, I worked with an organization that planted 10 million trees. The Nugent family, thousands. We do it every year since 69, 70. So I would just ask the audience or anybody listening, including you, Butterfly, what is the best use of one's time if you wanted to save trees or produce lumber? Because it's getting used while you're up there. It was getting used. The sawmills were going. Nobody said, we should shut down the sawmill, Butterflies in the tree. I don't need Richard Pryor for comedy. It's everywhere. So I made the point, and I won the day, obviously, that if you got a year Would you sit in a tree to benefit trees, or would you plant 10 million of them? I think that's is rhetorical a question that has ever been uttered, but I knew I won that day. Even Bill Maher had to acknowledge that she didn't stop any sawmills and she didn't reduce any board feet of lumber, but I produced it. And that's how I operate. And as a hunter, I knew that instinctively, that if you want thriving, healthy, wild biodiversity, you need to harvest the surplus every year so you make room for next year's fawns and cubs and calves and rabbits. So I'm able to bring scientific, biological truth, logic, and common sense in a lifetime of boot wearing out swamp running to a media that is maniacally dedicated to deny it and lie about it. Deny that hunting is beneficial and lie that hunting is bad. And I have reversed that in the most powerful media on planet Earth, from the Lunday Sunday Times cover story to, and I could go on, but we don't have enough time for me to list the media and the billions of people that I've impressed upon what real conservation is, the wise use in a management, futuristic management model, North American wildlife model. And I would not back down because they tried to make me back down. And that's your biggest mistake, because I know truth, logic, and common sense as a guy in the swamp. You're not going to tell me anything about the swamp from your office. I'm the swamp guy. You just shut up and maybe follow me around for a day. Then we can have an intelligent conversation about the swamp. Until then, just lock your door and make believe.